The UK has been experiencing significant civil unrest, with ongoing riots erupting in various parts of the country. Tensions have risen particularly around the themes of immigration and far-right extremism, sparked by an incident that took place in Southport. The Southport event involved a stabbing that led to a surge in anti-immigrant sentiment, which quickly evolved into violent protests across the UK. Cities like Liverpool, Sunderland and Hull have all seen the effects of these protests, which have drawn national and international attention. These protests, originally framed around opposition to increased immigration, quickly escalated into full-scale riots. What began as demonstrations against the perceived mishandling of immigration policies soon turned into violent confrontations between far-right protesters, anti-racist counter-demonstrators and the police. The far-right groups accuse the government of allowing too many immigrants into the country, particularly those from Muslim-majority nations, which they claim has led to social and economic issues. The violence in these protests, however, has not been contained to England alone. Northern Ireland, particularly in Belfast, has become a focal point of tensions. Belfast saw large-scale confrontations between anti-Islamic groups and anti-racist activists. Outside of Belfast's City Hall, the two opposing factions clashed violently with fireworks and other missiles thrown between the groups. Police forces, including the Police Service of Northern Ireland, attempted to maintain order by blocking roads and dispersing rioters, but the violence continued, leading to significant damage to the surrounding area. One of the most troubling aspects of the riots in Northern Ireland is the historical context. Belfast and other parts of Northern Ireland have a long history of sectarian violence, particularly between nationalist and unionist communities. The renewed violence comes at a fragile time, with many worried that these far-right demonstrations could inflame old wounds and disrupt the delicate peace in the region, which was largely stabilised after the signing of the Good Friday Agreement in 1998. In England, the riots have continued to gain momentum, with no clear end in sight. The violence has been met with a robust response from the police, who have made hundreds of arrests in connection with the disturbances. Officers have also suffered injuries in their attempts to quell the unrest, which has involved widespread damage to businesses and homes. Local communities are feeling the brunt of the disruption, particularly small business owners whose properties have been vandalized or looted during the riots. As for Northern Ireland, the government has been on high alert due to the potential for these protests to reignite sectarian conflict. The PSNI has been working diligently to manage the situation, but the level of tension remains high. The Belfast riots have been some of the most serious of the recent outbreaks, with violence erupting in multiple areas of the city, including working-class neighbourhoods that are already economically disadvantaged. The Northern Ireland Executive has been closely monitoring the situation and has called for calm from all sides, warning that continued violence could destabilise the region. UK government officials, including Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and Home Secretary Suella Braverman, have made strong statements condemning the violence and emphasising the importance of maintaining law and order. They have expressed full support for the police and called for those involved in criminal activity during the riots to be brought to justice. The government's stance is clear. The violence will not be tolerated and efforts will be made to restore peace and stability across the country. However, there is a growing concern that the unrest has not yet reached its peak. Many experts believe that without addressing the underlying causes of the riots, such as public dissatisfaction with immigration policies, the violence could continue. Far-right groups appear to be gaining momentum, using social media and other platforms to organise further protests and recruit new members. Citizens are being urged to remain vigilant, particularly in areas that have seen heightened tensions, such as Liverpool, Sunderland and Belfast. Authorities are encouraging people to avoid large gatherings and to report any suspicious activity to the police. While the situation remains volatile, the government and law enforcement are determined to take whatever steps are necessary to prevent further escalation and to protect the safety of communities across the UK. In conclusion, the riots in the UK have not only caused significant disruption, but have also raised concerns about the long-term implications for social cohesion in the country. The situation remains fluid, with more protests and potential violence on the horizon. Northern Ireland in particular is being closely watched as the legacy of its violent past looms over the current unrest. UK authorities continue to work tirelessly to restore order, but the broader challenges of immigration, extremism and social division remain pressing issues for the nation.